3 months after graduation, I was lying on my bed, scrolling Instagram. One classmate was having a solo show in central London. Another got published in a magazine, and I had no plan at all. That's when I realized, in the art world, the biggest pressure isn't just about surviving or making money. It's about who you are when no one is telling you what to do anymore. This thought kept coming back to me even during a 10-day Vipassana course I just finished, in which we couldn't talk, read, write, or even make eye contact. I will come back to that later because it connected deeply with what I'm going through. It's been nearly a year since I graduated from Goldsmith's MFA program. I realized it's so different from when I graduated as an engineering student. Back then, before studying art, I majored in food science and engineering. After graduation, all my classmates entered some kind of system: companies, government jobs, research institutions, etc. It felt like we were each living in our own little bubbles, wrapped by the structures around us. People might compare bubbles such as big company versus small one, but even a small company could offer some real growth. So you were protected in some way. You don't fight alone. But when you graduate as an artist student, you can't imagine how harsh it can be. I mean, the peer pressure, it can give you a lot of stress, You need to scroll Instagram every day to post your work, to see what's happening in the art world, to catch up with other artists and curators. Besides that, you need to show up in other friends' openings, talks, and other events, because that's where the chances are if you want to make it in the art world. And it's unavoidable that you would encounter your classmates' news, who is having a group show, who is having a solo exhibition, whose paper got published, etc. Yeah, the first time I felt that peer pressure was about 3 or 4 months after my graduation. I was still so tired then, and also it was the winter in Britain, so I was kind of still resting and recovering from the exhausted situation after my graduate show. And then I encountered some Instagram posts that one of my classmates, who is a sculptor, was going to have a solo exhibition in London, in central London. Well, that's the pressure. And then news like that came one by one. Another friend was going to have a solo exhibition, and another friend again. People are just so talented, But in another way, it's also good news for me. We all graduated from the same school.
Hello, students.
The news somehow means as Goldsmith graduates, we do have a bright future. Yeah, so it gives you hope, right? If none of your classmates had a solo show, no exposure, none of these good things happened to anyone, then you would doubt. You would doubt your choice to study in that school. And a couple of days ago, when I went back to school to see the 2025 graduate show, I encountered one of my classmates. His name is Eli. He did great in our graduate show. His work was about stealing a silver coin from the British Museum. Legally speaking, it's not stealing, since he left the coin back in the donation box of the museum. He presented the plan, the act, and how he returned the coin all through moving images in the show. That's the best work I've ever seen last year. So I asked him, how did the work go after graduation? He told me that the work was exhibited in the Contemporary Museum of Sao Paulo. I was so happy for him for the work. But at the same time, the peer pressure hit me hard. I started questioning myself. Am I falling behind? Am I doing enough? In those moments, it's easy to get caught up in comparison, to feel like you are in a race you never signed up for. But after sitting with those feelings, something else started to emerge. I began to realize that this pressure, this harshness, is only one side of the story. There's another side too, something more personal, more grounded, and more valuable. The story came from here. I don't know if you've heard about the Vipassana course. I went to a 10-day Vipassana course in which you need to hand in your phone. You need to get up at 4 a.m. each day and meditate for over 10 hours a day. No talking, no writing, no reading. You live in your own isolation for the whole 10 days. I knew I should go to the course from last year, but I was kind of intimidated by the length of the course. And the 10 days without my phone, it was out of my imagination, you know. But this year, I was kind of establishing my painting style finally after several months of exploring and struggling. I felt something was growing in my art, but there was still a lot of uncertainties. Maybe with a clear mind, with a clear thought, I would know, but I couldn't figure it out yet. At that time, the Vipassana course came back to my mind. This time, I understood something important. As an artist, developing your artwork isn't separate from developing yourself. They grow together, hand in hand. If your mind is chaotic or unsettled, it shows in your work. It will be hard for you to create something with a depth. For me, polishing my inner world is like polishing my art. Without that inner clarity and calm, the art won't reach its full potential. That made me make the decision to go to the course. Wow, I would say this is one of the best decisions in my life. I've gained so much from this 10-day Vipassana course. And yes, my whole body became lighter, and so did my mind. I feel that it is much more pure and clear. When I returned back to my studio practice, a lot of things has become clearer. I think I will talk about the changes more in my next episode, so stay tuned. And then I remembered when I was working as a customs officer, there was a lot of time I needed to sit in front of a computer, doing things like handling files that came down, filling the tables, writing reports. But all of these tasks, all of these things you have to do, had nothing to do with your personal life. None of my inner changes or deeper reflections could ever appear there. As an artist, it's totally different. You are in it alone, navigating in the fiercely competitive art world. Your artwork and yourself are inseparable. To push your art forward, you must grow as a person. There's no shortcut. Your inner evolution feeds your creative depths. Every step you take in your own growth adds new layers of meaning, sensitivity, and emotional resonance to your art. It becomes richer, more profound, and more capable of genuinely moving others. You have no reason to stop evolving. Staying awake and clear-minded in this chaotic world becomes essential, both for your art and for yourself. This is one of the best things about being an artist, sincerely. So this is what I found. The harsh aspect of being an emerging artist, and at the same time, one of the most rewarding parts of this journey. It really is like the two sides of the same coin. The struggle, the uncertainty, the fierce competition, it's all there. But alongside it, there's growth, discovery, and a deep connection between who you are and the art you create. It's also what is making being an emerging artist so unique and meaningful. I'm sharing these thoughts with you because maybe you are on the same path, feeling the highs and lows of this creative life. If you are, I'd love to hear your experience too. Leave me a comment and let's support each other. See you in the next episode.